Mike Gill as he is enjoying some sun and fun. A little vacation for the host of this program. But he's never too far out of reach, right, Ryan?
He's always a phone call away, isn't he?
The presence of Mike Gill is always around.
It's always lingering
via text,
over my head.
Via text, via tweet.
Text, tweet, MySpace, Facebook, whatever it may be, he finds you.
And then he finds us on the Boardwalk Honda hotline. We'll send it out to Mike Gill because there was 35,266 people at the Phillies and Red Sox game last night, and two of those people, Mike Gill and his plus one. MG, how are you, buddy?
Yeah, I felt like a stranger in my own home last night at Citizens Bank Park. You know, last week, Ryan, we had predicted that at least two games would be sold out. Boston, that was not the case, and there was 35,000 people there last night. And if the Red Sox weren't there, I'd wonder what that crowd would have looked like last night, because that place was very Boston-y last night.
I know. Yeah, we said it very confidently last week, MG, like looking through the schedule. Okay, well, Boston's in town for two. That's obviously going to sell out. And then the Mets series goes over the weekend, Friday and Saturday. It could be a good one. But back-to-back nights with 35,000, and you said it to me earlier and just now that a good portion looking around, especially in your section, you said, is Sox fans cheering on Boston. I mean, that's concerning to me. I mean, I don't want to be negative about it, but if not now, when, right?
Well, you know what? You're right. I mean, it's not being negative. It's just telling the truth. I was there last night, and literally in the section I'm sitting in, let's say there's 100 people in your section.
Yeah.
I'd say 80 of them were Red Sox fans. The section over from me, same situation. Now, could I have been in a section or two sections where there was a trip or something? Possibly. But, I mean, I had good seats last night. So you're telling me Red Sox fans gobbled up good seats and had 160 potential seats in an area of 200 seats. And then we went into the Majestic Clubhouse store, which is like right around like section, 125, somewhere around there. So we're inside walking around. We hear cheers, clapping, cheers. And I said, oh, somebody must have scored. I look up on the television. Boston scores 2 runs. It was that loud and noticeable when Boston scored runs last night that you would have thought you were at a Boston home game. And I got to be honest, like we talk about it all the time. The Phillies fans, I say this all the time, Phillies fans are lame. I mean, this is not a baseball town. They're front runners. I can certainly admit that. When the team was good, they sold out, and they were there. This team here is good. Yes, they're fading a little bit, and we have a lot of debate whether or not, you know, these are must-win games now. Look, you don't have must-win games in August. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
You win the game last night, it's not a must-win. That win last night didn't do anything for them. It was nice for them to keep pace. The big games that are coming up happen in September. If you're 2-3 games out with a chance to get in first place the last 2 weeks of the year, that's when you have to win games. To say a game is must-win now, that's just ridiculous. Last night was a nice win for them, but guess what? It didn't mean anything because Atlanta won last night. But it's unfortunate. You're in that ballpark last night, and they're getting no support from the fans last night. I'm talking nothing. That place was Boston, pro-Boston, essentially the whole night last night.
Mike Gill with us. If that's the case, MG, then are you more impressed that the Phillies have 39 home wins so far? That's the most home wins in the National League without support, as you're saying.
Well, I mean, look, in baseball, the home stadium for them, their style of baseball is they got to hit home runs. If they don't hit the ball or drive the ball, they're not winning. And the problem they were having on the road is they're playing in bigger ballparks. They can't hit the ball out of the park. They're hitting balls, fly balls in Citizens Bank Park. Wilson Ramos last night hit the ball off the fence. He had actually a couple of balls that he drove last night. It's a different game for them on the road. That home ballpark for them suits their style a lot more. And yes, do they need more support? Of course. I mean, it'd be great to have fans out there. But look, I don't know when the fans are going to start coming over for this team because I don't know what the poll – I saw you guys talking about this earlier with the poll question. You got the Eagles playing tonight, and I know the game's in New England, but they're playing the Patriots and the Eagles playing. I would be surprised if more people were watching the Phillies game than were watching the Eagles game tonight. Don't you think that's a problem?
Yeah, I mean, if not now, when? Like what Ryan just said a minute ago, and I mean, they're both 7:30 starts tonight. I saw, that some of the tweets that have come out today have been heavily Eagles in that favor. Despite that, I mean, look, the Phillies took 2 out of 4 against arguably the best team in baseball, and it's not moving the needle. I want to talk about Ramos a little bit, though, since you were there to see him. Can you remember a better Phillies debut? I mean, 3 for 4 with 3 runs scored, a couple of doubles, that triple that he legged out. I mean, the guy just came in, and you talked about the ball almost went out. I mean, all 3 of his hits seemed to go almost to the exact same spot, or pretty darn close.
Yeah. The only other one, I was talking about this last night, I can think of that made more of an impact maybe right away was Cliff Lee. I think he came in his first game and threw like a shutout, maybe had a double or something up the bat in his first couple of games. I mean, but hey, this is what they got Ramos for. And, this is a team that over the last 8 games prior to last night was hitting 198 as a team. They were averaging 2.6 runs. They needed this offense. They needed some help. And to have him hitting in the 6 hole, I guarantee he's probably going to be moving his way up the lineup. But think about this. Last night, Justin Bour, Asdrubal Cabrera, and Wilson Ramos, they had 3 new pieces hitting in the top 6 of their lineup last night. It just shows you how bad their lineup was. And for them to be in this spot, we talk about a situation where should we buy into this team? I get it. They don't have the established stars, that homegrown talent that those 2008, 2009 teams. But I got to tell you, the other night, what day is it today? Friday or no, today's
Thursday.
Right? So Tuesday night against Boston, I made sure I watched from start to finish. Last night was the first game I've gone to in a couple of years. Like, this team has sucked me in. I'm in, and we talk about it all the time. If you're not relevant, if your team is not relevant, people don't care about you. This team is now relevant because people care. Look, to say a game is a must-win, which is inaccurate, it means that you care enough to say it's a must. The relevancy of this team is apparent, but people aren't going to the ballpark, but people care about this team. People are starting to talk about them, and we'll see if that pressure, if this team allows it to get to them. I don't think it will. I think this team has what it takes. I mean, they have the pitching. Their bullpen last night was excellent in a situation that they needed them. I mean, they had to go to the bullpen in the 3rd inning last night, and they shut the door. Now, it was interesting because 2 of their bullpen guys, Loop and Davis, both had to go on the DL today. So we'll see how that affects the bullpen. But they were excellent last night. But this is a fun team. Look, to have relevant baseball at this time of the year, nobody expected it. Enjoy it.
Yeah, I'll update the poll real quick, too, that Ryan asked, which are you going to watch, the Phillies or the Eagles tonight, preseason game number 2. We've got 55% actually saying they're going to watch Phillies-Mets, as opposed to just 45% for Eagles-Patriots preseason. So that does surprise me. I do want to ask you about that bullpen, though, because the first face that came out, and by the way, went to a 3-0 count on his first 3 pitches, Hector Neris. What did you see about Hector Neris last night that gives you some faith, or do you think he's not fixed yet?
No, I mean, Neris coming in that 3rd inning spot, that was a huge spot in the game when Velasquez has to get taken out, and I mean, they have to go to the bullpen in that spot, and he comes in. The biggest thing is he's down 3-0 in the count, and then what's he do? He comes back and throws strikes, and he's able to get out of the inning. I mean, I thought that would – look, this is a guy that closed for them last year and, had 26 saves or something like that. For them to have a guy who has closing experience, if he can get his confidence back and start to pitch some, 5th, 6th – let's be honest. I was getting into this with somebody on Twitter a couple of days ago. Guys don't pitch 6, 7 innings anymore. It just doesn't happen. Your expectation is to get me through 5, and we'll see what happens after that. Everyone's up in arms about that Arrieta outing from the other day. But quite frankly, look, the guy's been great this year. He averages 5.7 innings per outing. In the league today, the starting pitchers go 5.5 innings. He's above the league average. That's what it is. If you can have a guy like Hector Neris come in that 5th or 6th inning and pitch like he did a year ago, you've really got something there. I like what the bullpen brings to the table. I thought that they did a good job last night. Kapler managing the bullpen and figuring out, like, okay, we got to go here. Because Boston, without the DH. They had Betts on the bench.
Right.
So they had a big bat on the bench, and they figured out a way to get, pitcher on that spot. They got Pierce, came up in the one spot that they brought Tommy Hunter in for. And I love what Tommy Hunter said. The night before, he said, guys, and this is where this whole must-win thing, these people are just out of their mind. He says, guys, I throw one pitch, and the guy does this. I'll throw the same pitch again the next night, and something different happened. And he said it last night. What'd you do? I threw the same exact pitch.
Right,
he said.
that's baseball.
Love that.
I can't stress this enough. In baseball, in August, if you know anything about baseball, there are no must-win games in August unless the math just doesn't add up for you. The math adds up fine for the Phillies. They're the first wild card team right now. They're 2 back of the Braves. Must-win games are for sensationalism and knee-jerk reactions, hot takers.
It's just a nice win for the clubhouse, but it's not a big picture do-or-die situation right now in any of these games.
You want to win? Believe me, you want to win.
Of course you want to win.
Every day you can.
Yeah.
But to say that it's a must-win, it's preposterous.
Mike Gill with us on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. Hey, Mike, here's those numbers on that bullpen last night. 6 2/3 pitch. They gave up 6 hits. Just the 1 run, though. 4 strikeouts, and probably most importantly, no walks. And you were talking about some of the names that came out of the bullpen. Austin Davis and Aaron Loop had to go to the DL you're talking about today, but Adam Morgan, Tommy Hunter coming back and bouncing back. Maybe the only shaky guy last night was Pat Neshek, and then Sir Anthony comes in and gets an inning and a third to close things out. That bullpen, I mean, I don't know that they could have done that early in the season. Do you?
No, and you talk about Neshek. He's the one guy you tend to trust. And I kept saying last night there was a bunch of Red Sox guys around me, and I kept saying, I think they're going to go to Dominguez for 2 to – in fact, I thought they were going to go to him in the 7th inning because the Boston top of the order was up there, and I thought they were going to go to him in the 7th. They ended up going to Neshek in the 8th inning. Who went in the 7th? I guess Loop came in the 7th, and
He
did a great job. He walked the first guy, Benintendi, and then ended up getting out of that with a double play ball. But look, their bullpen is starting to fit together. Neshek is a guy who gave up a couple hits last night, but I don't have a problem with him. He's a veteran, all-star guy. If they can get, Dominguez with Neshek, and they have Neris going, and if they can get one other guy that they feel pretty good about, and I think Arano has been pretty good for them. Their bullpen has been one of the better bullpens recently. But, look, it's a different game in September. The bullpens expand and all that kind of stuff. You get more arms that can come in. So if they're around 2 to 3 games in September, I keep saying this, they play the Braves 7 times. Those are the games that matter. There's no must-win games with the math the way it is right now when you play the Braves 7 more times.
Excellent point out of you, and that's what's going to make it fun. Their bullpen, by the way, this is out of the Phillies post-game notes, a 2.39 ERA, 19 earned runs, 71 2/3 innings pitched with 67 strikeouts in their last 20 games. So since July 24th, that bullpen with a 2.39 ERA, pretty solid stuff. Mike Gill, we're glad that you checked in with us, buddy, and we hope you enjoy more of your time off. We'll be here holding down the fort.
All right, guys. I look forward to getting back next week. We got the doubleheader today. Eagles tonight. And, by the way, we will have the Atlantic Shore 14-year-olds are in the World Series tonight. They're in the championship game. If they win tonight, they will be World Series champions. We'll have that game on our website, 973ESPN.com. So if you're looking for that game, we'll have it on our website tonight.
Fantastic. I was wondering about those guys, and I forgot to text you about that this morning as we were texting so many other things back and forth. All right, MG, we'll stay in touch for sure.
All right, guys. Have a good one.